Michael Elliott here, owner of multiple seven-figure companies, including an AI agency. Now, today we're going to be talking about Make.com versus n8n. It's one of the most common questions that I get asked, and there are reasonings for both. So let's jump straight into this. Yes, I know that they're not the real logos. I used AI to generate them. But basically, I've put together a comprehensive comparison for business decision makers and technical leaders. Like yourselves, whether you're a business owner or whether you are an individual who's learning, this presentation explores the fundamental difference between both of those platforms, what the benefits are between each of them, and going a little bit beyond just which is the better platform and actually looking at what is the right tool for your individual needs is probably the way that I would explain it, the most simplest. Now, the two core differences that you'll notice straight away: Make.com is effectively a visual and accessible powerhouse. It's designed for ease, it's designed for lack of complexity, it's designed for beginners. And it gives you a real leg up in terms of its intuitive interface to be able to just drag and drop nodes, piece them together, and have direct connections. So that's perfect if you're looking for rapid deployment. You don't need much technical background whatsoever, and you literally just want to group the nodes together, have a simple flow built. Then Make.com is probably your choice. And this is what a Make.com scenario looks like. You can see how clean, clear, pristine. Generally speaking, it is just very, very, very smooth, and it just feels like a comfortable place to be. Now, when it comes down to the which is better from an n8n perspective, n8n is like a developer, but not just a developer, anybody's Swiss Army knife, right? It has unprecedented flexibility and control over what you do inside of it, and the deployment options for it are infinite. You can actually use n8n, go and sign up on the website like you would normally. But you can also self-host n8n, and if you self-host n8n, effectively it's free, outside of the self-hosting costs. So there is n8n, generally speaking, is ideal for technical teams. If you're a developer and you go inside of n8n, it basically just makes your life 50 times easier, and it does have a golden nugget, which I'm going to share with you a little bit later in the video. But the choice isn't about which which platform is objectively superior. It's about which philosophy and feature set aligns with your specific business requirements. If you're not looking to have any learning curve at all, and you just want to be able to go and connect nodes, then I would advise that you use Make. If you're looking for a more sophisticated platform, I would advise that you go to n8n. It has incredible power. It has AI agents inside of it. It has the ability to be able to do a lot more things a lot quicker, but they're just not as easy to set up, and there is a steeper learning curve. One of the core philosophies, the core philosophy of this is convenience versus control. Make.com gives you the maximum convenience, and n8n gives you ultimate control. Make.com is a pure SaaS product, fully hosted, maintained by somebody else, which n8n can be. Like, it can be fully hosted by n8n, but like I said, you can self-host it. Instant setup with zero infrastructure requirements. Your data's processed on their servers. You have the ability to be able to use it for free initially, up to a certain amount of operations. They are changing that shortly. Effectively, it's like renting a fully furnished apartment. This is the analogy I use. Make.com is like renting a fully furnished apartment, move in, start working. Whereas n8n is like owning a house. There's more setup, but once it's correct, it's more suited to what you want it to be, and it has more freedom alongside it. When it comes down to the n8n, I mentioned the self-hosting choice. You can deploy on your own infrastructure, like on a £5 a month server. You then own the processing of all of that data, and it's yours. There is a big difference, convenience versus control. If data privacy is your number one concern, do you need predictable scaling costs? If you do, n8n self-hosting platform is for you. if you'd never, you'd never want to bother yourself with anything technical involving servers or anything like that, Make has everything that you can do. And I have to say something important, because for the majority of it, both platforms can deliver the same outcome, right? There's not many things that you can't do inside of one or the other. It's just the expense of the deployment and the complexity and debugging, which is what we're going to get to as we go through here. So if you look at this artistic canvas versus logical flowchart, you will see what I mean. So on the left is make.com and on the right is n8n. On the left, beautiful freeform visual canvas, drag modules wherever you like. I'll show you a scenario now inside of here. Like, let's have a look. Which one? Let's have a look in. Let's have a look in here. So, an automated follow-up system. This is an automated follow-up system that, like, from Google Sheets, grabs a date, checks it, runs through. You simply drag and drop these nodes, move them around, and you can see how they work. You auto-align them. It looks very clear, right? As an approach, it literally looks exactly how you would want it to be, and you can read it, and it makes complete sense. Okay, little filters here. 14 days shows you exactly what they are. Literally drag and drop modules in. If you wanted to add another module in here, you literally just right click, add module, and you have thousands of individual applications that are already implemented inside of it. Whereas if we go, sorry, I'm all over the place with that. Whereas if we go inside of n8n, you can see already it looks a bit scarier just from the second that you land on it. From the minute that you land on it, it looks a little bit scarier. But then when you start to look at actual flows like this that I've built out, which is a flow using Telegram, which allows it to be able to tap into different events and different tools using calendar, different agents. It's called a multi-agent flow / agent swarm. If you look at this, it just looks a little bit more complex, right? Than what you see from Make. If you look at the difference just between the two, you can see quite clearly that one is definitely more friendly. Make.com is 1,000% more friendly. I think even n8n founders would tell you that Make.com looks more friendly. But the trade-off that you have for the comfort is massive when it comes to costings, when it comes to ability to be able to do things quickly and have things out there and put out and developed as fast as possible. You lose that. So feels like creating a mind map when you're using make.com. It's intuitive for visual thinkers, and it gives you an easy solution. When you look at n8n, structured node-based interfaces, they are clear, logical flowchart sort of layouts with arrows, exactly the same. And people often say they're easier to read for more complex workflows. I showed you quite a basic flow inside of make.com, so it's easy to understand. But can you imagine if this had 18 times the modules inside of Make, and it just covered this whole screen? It would become quite the overwhelming feat. Well, when you look at n8n, this still does look a little bit overwhelming, but I've dragged and dropped sections. Like, I know that this is the input section. Then I have the AI agent that sits here. Okay. Then I have the outputs from a Telegram perspective. And then underneath, I have all of my individual assistants, and drag and drop them out. And effectively, I've got like phase 1, 2, and 3. And if I was to zoom out and look at that, and you were to look at something really comprehensive, and especially if I use sticky notes like this, I can add labels to what things are, and I can say, hey, this is the tool section. I write to the tool section inside of that sticky note, and you wouldn't use it in that exact sort of format, but you can have the layouts put together, pieced together naturally. So even though make.com is a more natural and friendly interface, as you get to more complex flows, it can look quite daunting. There's a lot going off with the routers and things, but n8n definitely favors engineering mindsets, software development backgrounds, things like that. Both accomplish exactly the same task, but their visual approaches reveal different philosophies about how automation should be built and understood. And one of them is more technical, n8n, than the other, which is make.com. This is probably the best infographic that I could put together for you that would showcase it to you. So, and this touches on the real power of n8n, which is the code node. Okay, so handling complexity, hitting a wall versus breaking through it in each individual channel comparatively. Make.com's built-in tools, n8n node codes, and n8n's tools, data transformation, and the crossover you have here. Automation and integrations. Well, automations and integrations, if it comes down to direct integrations, Make.com smashes n8n every day of the week. There aren't many tools you can find. There are a few, and you do come across them. But there aren't many that you can find in here. Like, I haven't even heard of half of these tools that I'm scrolling through that have direct integrations where you literally just click a button, right? Click a button, find an email, create a connection, and connect using your API key. You literally connect just like that, and then you have your connection set up. Whereas inside of n8n, if you are to add a new node, if you were to look at that action in app, there are quite a few, but there are nowhere near as many as what there are nowhere near as many as what Make.com has by a long, long way. And the capacity, literally, I'm at the end of the list there. The capacity that you have for direct integration is heavily limited. So Make.com, from an automations and integrations perspective, actually beats n8n every day of the week, and that's why it's better for simpler flows and simpler transitions. As you head towards pre-built transformers, custom script transformers or transformation, data transformation, and really the golden goose that is the n8n node code, you can do all of these inside of each one. The one thing which stands out is the n8n code node. And to give you an example, let's say there's a complex data challenge. The scenario is to format a list of 50 names as last name, F, and filter out anyone named Smith. Okay, let's say that was the flow that we were trying to do. The Make.com flow would involve multiple modules chained together: Google Sheets, iterator, router, text parser, filter, variable setter, array aggregator, 10 plus steps in order to get it done. In terms of the n8n solution, that is one single code node with 5 lines of JavaScript that AI can write for you. And to showcase you an example of this, I'll go inside of this flow because it's got a code node in it. And inside of here, this is simple JavaScript that the slashes tell you that, like the double slashes tell you what what anything in grey. It's not actually an actionable; it's information, so you can write notes for yourself. But AI wrote this for me. You can literally, if you're on the hosted, like the cloud hosted n8n platform, where you go and sign up to their system and allow it to run as sort of a SaaS, then this AI function will work for you, and you can literally ask it to rewrite JavaScript in any way, and it will do it for you. There are debugging things you're going to have to do, but AI can power using a code node to be able to do this. But what I'm trying to tell you here is the reason for this code node in this flow is because we wanted to split into multiple messages. This was a Telegram trigger. It would fire, it would run through all the flow, do everything perfectly fine, but the output would always be one message. Well, we wanted to dissect that based off of what it was. Well, is there a meeting booked? Is there X and Y? And that one code node allowed us to be able to trim all of the messages from all of these, I say all of these individual tools. That's not necessarily true. I didn't go that deep into it. But it allows it to send multiple messages. And you can transform that code node into just about anything. The code node is the power of n8n. The code node is the real holy grail of n8n usage, and why it is the king when it comes between the two platforms. But that doesn't mean you should use it just because it has the code node if it doesn't fit your actual requirements and sort of learning curve, because the learning curve, like even that, when I just showed you the JavaScript there, if you're watching this for the first time, getting into the no code space, you're going to be like, whoa, like, like what's a code node? What's JavaScript? How do I do this? And then therefore make.com might be a more ideal solution to you at that stage. But that's an example of it. Pricing's a big thing. The cost comparison for processing 5,000 orders a month. So each order requires 4 automation steps: process new order, add to Google Sheet, check inventory, send confirmation email. Make.com would be 5,000 orders, would be 4 operations, because there was 4 nodes. That's 20,000 operations just from that one individual flow alone. More complex workflows like the one I just showed you. It's not a complex workflow, but like this one here, you're going to be talking like, what's that? 6, 7, 8. You're going to be talking like 9 operations per individual run of this. You can imagine if you were running this thousands of times, you would end up in a situation where you're really racking up the costs from an operation point of view. Whereas n8n Cloud, which is basically the SaaS system that n8n has, 5,000 order execution, regardless of the number of steps, as predictable costings for complex workflows, better value for data-intensive processes. You can have as many nodes, as many modules, because in Make they're called modules, in n8n they're called nodes. It doesn't matter how big that flow is, you are charged on the execution alone, just executing it, pressing go. So, for example, if this was unlinked and this just had these 2 nodes, you would be charged 2 operations in Make.com. In n8n, you would just be charged for 1 execution, and that is the key to the sort of the pricing module and comparison. Really, I guess that's it. If you talk about self-hosting, which is what I do. I'm not self-hosted in the one I'm showing you here. I don't think. Am I? No, I'm in the normal hosting. But for my major flows and any flows I run at scale, I am self-hosted. I wouldn't worry about getting into this right now if I was a beginner. Focus on the n8n Cloud. That's absolutely fine. But eventually, you can look at n8n self-hosting, which means that you pay £5 to £10 a month for the service. The server cost, and then everything is free. You can literally run whatever you want outside of it for free. So yeah, error handling and debugging visual history versus raw data. Make.com has an intuitive visual history tracking platform. You can see the exact path the data took through a scenario. It appeals it's all lovely bubbles. It's nice. Like it shows where things went wrong. It's perfect for non-technical troubleshooting, because you can see the debugging the issue is a completely different thing. Actually fixing it, maybe using the AI or actually going out there and finding it is a different beast. But just the way that it looks to you on a screen is a lot better. Like it is. When it comes down to n8n, it's a detailed technical execution log. You go through it. You look at raw JSON data between nodes. Complete visibility of headers and fields, shows precisely why things failed. You can see very developer-friendly formatting of issues to fix. But I wouldn't let that scare you too much. It's a very developer-friendly debugging experience. But when I started in Make and I went to n8n, and since I've gone to n8n, I would never go back. And apart from very rare use cases where you can pull specific data, which you can do with APIs and webhooks anyway. But like, there's very rare use cases for clients and stuff where I will use Make. And I don't find the interface in n8n overwhelming now. You obviously have to have a learning curve around it. The key takeaway is use it based off of your team's profile, what or your individual profile or your business's profile, and choose what's best for you. I think that error handling isn't really an issue. I think that, from an error handling perspective, you're going to need some level of technical understanding, just because there's a beautiful little bubble that pops up inside of Make, and you have to dig into the executions and look at the failure in n8n, which, like, I'll show you executions. executions that ran. So you see, like, this was a successful execution using the code node. There isn't enough, it doesn't go back as long enough for me to show you a failed example, but this is an execution. You can see, look, if you follow the green lines, let me zoom in a bit for you. If you follow the green lines on the page, you can see, so this was Telegram trigger. Well, this was an audio file. So it went through the audio file. It used simple memory. It fetched emails and it sent a message in Slack. And then it sent the text message. This was before the code node. This was during testing. This is what I was doing when I put the code node in here. And you can see how it ran. Whereas inside of make.com, if you were to run a scenario, I don't have one built that I could show you, but effectively, let me just see if this will run. Okay, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So inside of here, we tried to run this flow, but it had an error. So whereas inside of make.com, n8n, all you would see is this, and it would tell you if it failed. But you have that, then you have to go to executions to look at the issues. Whereas inside of make.com, you literally just get a little red bubble that tells you what the issue is, Google Sheets. Yeah, I mean, like, it tells you invalid argument, unable to parse range, audits undefined. It's got an error 400 code, invalid argument. And you can look about more information on error handling, and it will take you to Make's database for knowledge base to fix it. It's just because the sheet doesn't exist, or whatever's inside of there. I'm not even going to open it up. This sheet name being wrong is probably the cause of that. Anyway, point being is that you can see how that showed beautifully an error. Whereas if you look at the make.com scenario sort of flows, you would have to go into this execution panel and look at the logs. But so it's a little bit more technical, but it actually has power in it. So ultimately, this video was n8n versus make.com. Which one should you choose? The answer to that is solely based off of your requirements. If I was to be asked that question and have to give an answer and be forced, I would always say n8n. But make.com, I see some incredible people build some incredible things inside of make.com. Cost averse, all of these things, they all come into play. I've covered them with you. Simplistic, direct connections, ease of use, make.com wins every time. When it comes down to viewability, scalable flows, costings, and the abilities that n8n has that make.com simply can't compete with using things like the code node, then n8n takes the cake for me. So let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. There isn't a real loser in this situation. It's just that one has more power and capabilities at a lesser cost than the other. If you're brand new to this, feel free to go and start building in Make and transfer that skill set over to n8n, which is exactly what I did during my journey. If you are stuck and you're a business and you're in a position where you're looking to roll this out, then hit me up in the link below, book a meeting with me, let me discuss your business's requirements, and I'll help you from there. And yeah, if you're a follower and you like this sort of content, like and subscribe. Catch you soon. Cheers.